Check for sound. Check for power.
All systems online.
Welcome to the Loper Show. Guys, today's episode, we're going to dive into everything that was the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 2025. I don't know if you guys got to check out the entire feed, but I got a nice recap for you. So I'm glad that you're here. Today brought to you by Shaker's Public House. And if you don't know, check this out.
Yo, highlight. What's the word?
I'm in.
Good. Do you see the sauce?
I do.
All right, man, make it quick. We don't got much time.
This is it.
All right, hurry up, real quick. Get out of there. Let's go.
Me in the city and I'm lurking 63rd. If the brothers on the field, then I think you know the word. All the records
So this year's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees were Bad Company, Chubby Checker, Joe Cocker, Cyndi Lauper, Outkast, Soundgarden, White Stripes, Salt and Pepper, and Warren Zevon. And there were no shortages of celebrities, awesome collabs, a meeting for the first time in 25 years. It really all started on the red carpet. So for the first time in literally 25 years, Cindy Lou Who and the Grinch met up on the red carpet. And of course, I'm talking about Jim Carrey, who was there to induct Soundgarden into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And that's when the lead singer of The Pretty Reckless, you know exactly who I'm talking about, Taylor Momsen, who was Cindy Lou Who in The Grinch, came walking up in literally for the first time. They said that was the first meeting since the movie, which I think blew a lot of people's minds. And Taylor Momsen, I've interviewed her a lot over the years, you know, super talented artist, but she was always very guarded about talking about her former acting career, whether it was, you know, her MTV days or talking about the Grinch, especially the Grinch. I remember an interview that we did with her back, oh gosh, it had to be like 2015 or so. And my partner at the time brought up the Grinch, and I was like, oh gosh, her record company just asked us not to say that. I'm like, how's this going to go? And it did not go well. She was not happy about it. Even the guitar player kind of got a little upset about, you know, us bringing up the Grinch. But regardless, it looks like she's ready to embrace all of that. And there's rumors that she could be going back into the acting world. So it was definitely kind of cool to see those two stars meet and reconnect on the red carpet, because you know what? I mean, you shouldn't be ashamed of your past. I mean, she was a young girl. I thought she did a terrific job. It's a very memorable movie. And it was also kind of cool to see Jim Carrey out and about, because for the most part, Jim Carrey's kind of become a little bit of a recluse. I mean, you don't really see him out at a lot of award shows. You don't see him on late night television very much. He very rarely makes a new movie. So it was definitely cool to see him induct the guys from Soundgarden into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I got to tell you, that was one of the highlights of the night for me. I mean, it was just absolutely wonderful. You know, Chris Cornell, one of the greatest rock singers of all time. We lost him back in 2017, which was just a tragic death. The next show that he was supposed to play after his passing was in Columbus, Ohio. And I was there at the time working at the Blitz, and we were waiting on them to come and play Rock on the Range, and got word like literally almost 24 hours right before the show that Soundgarden would not be playing because we lost Chris Cornell. And with them being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Jim Carrey did a beautiful job, a great speech. And then the remaining members of Soundgarden came out and played. I mean, it was something. I mean, Taylor Momsen came out, she sang. Brandi Carlile came out, she sang. And they were just absolutely just on fire. And now there's rumors swirling, will Soundgarden go back out on the road? And here's what I want to ask you guys, and you can leave it in the comment section below. If they did reunite and they did go back out on the road, who would be the perfect person to replace Chris Cornell? Not replace, but stand in his spot and sing for the band. Would it be multiple singers? Would that be feasible? I like the female idea because I think a guy stepping into the place of Chris Cornell, I mean, you better be ready to bring it. I mean, that voice, there's very few males on the planet that can sing like Chris Cornell did. And I thought the ladies did a really great job at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So if you saw the Rock Hall performance and you're sitting there in your mind too, contemplating the idea of Soundgarden getting back together, who would you want to see in the lead singer spot? I mean, the options that we had at the Rock Hall were pretty damn good, but leave it in the comment section below. I think one of the surprise inductions this year when it was announced were the White Stripes were going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And it was very interesting at the actual inductions that Meg White did not show up. And of course, Jack White was there. And as he was giving his speech and thanking everybody for inducting him into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he said that Meg edited his speech heavily, adding lots of punctuation. So she was there in spirit, so to speak, but he did not perform. Instead, superfan Olivia Rodrigo performed. I had no idea she was such a big White Stripes fan, but she is. And Columbus's own, I was so stoked for this. 21 Pilots took the stage and covered Seven Nation Army, which they made that song their own without straying too far away from the essence of the original. And if you didn't get to see that, man, bring that up on YouTube. It was absolutely phenomenal, not only from a sonic point of view, from, musically, but also from a visual point of view. I mean, those guys just keep getting hotter and hotter with every year that passes. 21 Pilots, shout out to them. Definitely one of the highlights of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Another great moment was David Letterman bringing in Warren Zevon and doing a great memorial for him as well. Warren Zevon, a big part of Late Night with David Letterman over the years. And he started out, he comes up on the stage and he goes, Dave, call me the Breeze Letterman. That's what they call me. I mean, he just, even after all these years, has not missed a step. It's almost like when you see him out and about doing things, which is very rare, you kind of long for him to be back on television again. And I love the way that Dave Letterman left The Late Show too. He really left on his own accord. And, he did that Netflix show for a little while, like where he was interviewing people. And that was brilliant as well. I say bring that back because, I mean, hands down, one of the greatest interviewers of all time. I definitely get a lot of inspiration from David Letterman, but he told some touching stories about Zevon. And yeah, I mean, Dave Letterman might have been the greatest werewolf in London of all time. And what is a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame closing without one of the coolest closing moments of all time? It was a tribute to Joe Cocker, which saw Black Crowes singer Chris Robinson on stage. Cyndi Lauper was up there. I mean, they had a cast that was just absolutely sick. Teddy Swims, awesome, right? They did the song With a Little Help from My Friends, which really just, I mean, gave it that like, yeah, moment at the end. You were like, yes, this is what rock and roll is all about. And of course, there's a lot of criticism out there that, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame should be just about rock and roll. And I think if you've ever been in Cleveland, I mean, it is a real treat. I took my kids up the year before last, and we did an entire day at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. My daughter Mackenzie got up and with a live band playing, she sang in front of everyone. I mean, it was so cool. They have so many great experiences for people of all ages, people that love all genres of music. And you really see that with the inductions as well. Like this year we saw Outkast go into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And, I've been an Outkast fan forever. And it was disappointing that Andre 3000 did not perform with Big Boy. Killer Mike got up there. There was other guest appearances as well. And of course, Big Boy himself got up there and did his thing. They did like clips of songs. They would go from one song. They wouldn't play it all the way through. They would just, kind of clip the songs and they did a great job. But just knowing that Andre 3000 was in the crowd and not on stage, it just didn't sit well. You know what I mean? You're like, come on, one more time. But he is just out of the hip hop genre altogether. He says, he's been making albums playing flute, and that's sort of like where he is. He's a very artistic type artist, and really wants nothing to do with hip hop anymore. He was definitely moved. You could tell emotionally he was very moved by the induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I think that whole presentation that they're going to have in Cleveland for Outkast and all of the 2025 inductees is going to be really sweet to see. Outkast included will be very cool. Opening the night was Stevie Wonder, and this was like a musical tribute with Stars galore. Stevie Wonder, Beck. You had Questlove on the drums, Flea on bass. Jennifer Hudson came out, and it was just absolutely amazing. And Elton John came out. He performed a tribute to one of the greatest of all times, Beach Boy, Brian Wilson, who I absolutely love. And he played God Only Knows, which one of my favorite Beach Boys songs. God Only Knows is just such a beautiful song, but one of those songs that's so just handcrafted by Brian Wilson that Elton John might be the only person on the planet that could pull that off in a way that just sounded unbelievable. And shout out to Sir Elton John, because he really did, man. He absolutely killed God Only Knows. And it was a beautiful tribute to Brian Wilson. Salt and Peppa did a great set. You forget how many hits Salt and Peppa has. They definitely deserve to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And the ladies, they look great. Spinderella was there. And Cyndi Lauper also inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. If I had $1 for every time when I was a kid and she was absolutely the biggest artist on the planet that people would mispronounce my name, for instead of saying Loper, they would say Loper. I mean, I would for sure be a millionaire at this point, but she did an incredible job, playing True Colors time after time. She played Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Avril Lavigne came out, which was super sick. And I actually got to meet Avril in Nashville. She was playing just across the street from my house at the Ascend Amphitheater, and her bass player is a friend of mine. So they had a party at John Bon Jovi's bar afterwards, and I went down to Broadway to go check that out and say what's up to everybody. And I ended up meeting Avril Lavigne unexpectedly, and she was a super sweetheart of a lady, and she did a great job at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So shout out to all the girls out there doing their thing for the 2025 inductees. So the cause of death for Kiss guitar player Ace Frehley has come out, and it has been determined that it was due to major head injury. He had a fall in the studio that took him out, and he was not able to perform a few shows, and we heard that first. And then he was back home and apparently had very steep steps at his house and took a fall that caused blunt force head trauma. And there was bleeding internally. And it was just an awful situation. I guess the last few days he was on life support. He was able to be joined by all of his family surrounding him right before it was time. But the family decided that, like a lot of families do, that, you don't want your loved one to become a vegetable. And they pulled the plug, and they did not want him on life support. And I guess that was his wishes as well, which, I mean, I got to be honest, I would feel the same way about myself. But, just to even read that about Ace, it very tragic. And, going back to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I think one of the things that upset me the most was they did a slight tribute to Ace, but it was so fast that it was just like they started to play Back in the New York Groove and showed a picture of him and then went right to the next one. And they did a whole package presentation for Ozzy Osbourne, which you would expect, right, at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But I would expect that for Ace Frehley as well. Ace Frehley was such a phenomenal guitar player, but had such an impact on so many guitar players. Literally, his guitar playing defined the sound of Kiss, and Kiss being one of the biggest acts ever. I definitely think he deserved a presentation at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that was on par with what Ozzy Osbourne had. And I hope that coming up with the Grammys get it right and honor Ace Frehley in the right way. One of the places in this world that I absolutely love to travel to is Las Vegas. And, Las Vegas has taken some hits over the last couple of years for being way too pricey. And I totally agree with that. You used to be able to go to Las Vegas, get a delicious dinner, very cheap, get a great hotel, super cheap, and then go and gamble a little bit. Now, what was a couple $1,000 experience is probably turned into closer to $10,000, depending on how rowdy you like to get in Vegas. But a trip that's going to be worth it in 2026 to Vegas is the collab of Alice Cooper and Chris Angel. It's called Welcome to Our Nightmare, playing off the Alice Cooper song, Welcome to My Nightmare. Now, it's going to be half rock show, half magic show, and it's going to be performed at Planet Hollywood, where Chris Angel has had a residency for the last 20 years. So it's going to be kind of cool if you've been out to see Chris Angel. One of the knocks that I've heard over the years is the show hasn't changed a whole lot. So this is going to be a completely renovated and rejuvenated show for Chris Angel, but to also include some rock and roll royalty in Alice Cooper. So tell me in the comment section below if you're going to travel out to Vegas in 2026 to check out Alice Cooper and Chris Angel.
Hear that? That's not just any siren. It's the sound of Wing Wednesday at Shaker's Public House. Every Wednesday, when the siren hits, the dollar wings drop. All day, no limits, just flavor. And don't miss Power Hour every single day from 5 to 6 p.m. Drafts, domestic beers, well liquor, and wine, just $1. When the siren sounds, you know where to go. Shaker's Public House, where happy hour hits hard and the wings hit harder.
So I don't know where you guys are on beauty competitions, but Miss Chile 2025 was crowned, and none other than Ignacia Fernandez was crowned the champion. Now, she's the singer of a death metal band, and during the performance portion of the 2025 Miss Chile, she brought her band out, and everyone was doubting her because she came out, she's like, just gave a full-on death metal performance, which I was on my feet. I was like, this is awesome. I couldn't believe it. And there was a lot of folks that were like, wow, she just blew her chances. And they were dead wrong. She came back to win the entire thing, crowning her Miss Chile, Miss World Chile 2025. And not only did that, but she got her band worldwide exposure, which her band is really awesome. I mean, they've toured with some big names, and I think you're going to start to see Ignacia Fernandez and her band out and about doing more things just thanks to her winning the 2025 Miss Chile. So the word on the street is Faith No More may be done forever. And that is really disappointing. Now, last year they had planned a huge tour, and it was supposed to kick off in Chicago. And literally 24 hours before the tour kicked off, Mike Patton was a no-show. Now, for months leading up to that, the band had been musically rehearsing without Mike Patton, and they said that they felt this might have been the best tour that they ever went out on. And the guys from Faith No More all showed up at the studio to do one last rehearsal. And as the last rehearsal was about to begin, Mike Patton was a no-show, which not only disappointed the guys in Faith No More, but fans across the world, because he's been touring with his other band, Mr. Bungle, the whole time. And he was citing mental health issues. I know during COVID, he really went through quite the mental health trauma. And I know he's had some alcohol issues over the years. And a lot of people are saying that they're never going to perform again. Actually, the guys in Faith No More don't have a whole lot of faith that they'll ever be able to get it back together. But I mean, we've seen other bands that had issues with each other and were able to get back in one room and work it out. Now, will Mike Patton and the rest of the guys in Faith No More be able to work it out? That's yet to be seen. But the word on the street right now is Faith No More is no more. In happier news for bands that have recently reunited, well, System of a Down say they are happier than they've ever been on tour together because they're doing things on their own terms. Faith No More, they could have been in the situation that System of a Down is in, but they chose to go in another path, right? Or at least Mike Patton did. Serge and the guys from System of a Down say that they are doing things the way that they want to do them, not the traditional machine music industry way where, you know, they tell you where to start in each show. They've literally toured football stadiums all across North America and South America, selling out not only the entire stadium for one night, they sold so many tickets that it was advantageous in most markets to add a second show. Now, what's really interesting about System of a Down is, I don't know if you realize this or not, but it's been 20 years since they released any new material whatsoever. So with the guys getting along so well and everybody's so happy on tour, and it looks like things are going to continue with them touring, I wonder if they're actually going to pull the trigger and record some new music. I would love that. I would love to hear 20 years later what the evolution of the sound of System of a Down is. Because, you know, when you think about it, you know, of course, they wrote those songs and they were, you know, young guys at the time. And, you know, they're still relatively young, but they've definitely matured over the years. And I would love to know sonically what that evolution, what that maturity sounds like. And if things keep going this way, I don't know, fingers crossed, we might just get that. I thought this was kind of wild. In recent news about restaurants, there's a lot of old brands that are coming back. All right. So we heard about the original owners of Hooters buying back a lot of the properties that they had franchised all across the country. They shut down a bunch of them, and they did away with what some called upgrades, what other called degrading. Like, they're famous for the orange shorts, right? The short shorts, maybe a little butt cheek, peeking out down the bottom. Nobody's mad about that. But right before the original owners bought back all of their franchises, the people that own certain restaurants in the Hooters chain, they had this idea that they were going to put out the wedgie pants. And the wedgie pants, which you could probably use your imagination. Actually, I'll show you a picture right here. Yeah. It was like a bikini, but just the orange shorts in a much more skimpier version. So they're saying that they're going back to all of the original traditions of Hooters. They're going to bring back the original orange shorts, the original uniform, and they're going to open up in select markets across the country. So if you had a Hooters and you lost it and you're bummed out, well, good news. You might get one again. Now, we all might be going Sizzler. Hell yeah. Sizzler is going to make a comeback in 2026 after many years of being shelved, which I don't think there's one Sizzler open anywhere anymore, right? I mean, Sizzler was known for the affordable steaks, if you can even call them that. It's been so long since I've been to a Sizzler. What I remember the most was they had those unique plates where it was like a steel plate in the middle and then like wood around it, and it said like Sizzler on it. The other thing that sticks out of my mind when I think about Sizzler is getting your own ice cream. You could do the ice cream machine, and all of a sudden you were the ice cream man. And I loved that as a kid. Now, as far as the steak goes, places like Outback Steakhouse and Roadhouse came along and pretty much put them out of business because their steaks were much more delicious, and even they were affordable compared to like a major, sit down first class steakhouse, right? Well, the guys who still own the brand Sizzler, they're going to revamp it. They say in ways that people will love to flock back to Sizzler. We'll see. So the Grammy nominations for 2026 are out, and for the best rock performance, you have Linkin Park, The Emptiness Machine, Turnstile, Never Enough, Hayley Williams of Paramore, her latest effort, and Youngblood, featuring Nuno Bettencourt, Frank Bello, and Adam Wakeman, with his version of Ozzy Osbourne's Changes, which, I mean, might be the shoe-in win of the year. Now, here's the worst part about the rock and metal categories is they don't even televise it. So, these guys getting awards, it's going to be all on the internet and all before the show actually starts on television, which I think is absolute BS, man. A lot of these pop artists are playing clubs, and these rock and metal artists are in a lot of cases playing huge venues with outrageous amounts of crowds coming to see these guys night after night after night. And they also have very devoted fan bases. But I think in that category, it would have been very cool if Youngblood would have won, and it would have been a huge win for the show, giving his crossover appeal, if he would get up and perform that with Nuno Bettencourt and the guys. That would have been sick. You would have had another moment where he's performing Changes just like at the MTV Awards. I think the Grammys really missing the boat on this one. So the nominees for the 2026 Grammys Best Metal Performance, you have Dream Theater with Night Terror, Ghost with Lakmara, Sleep Token, Emergence, Spirit Box with Soft Spine, and Turnstiles with Birds. And I don't know how you can look at that list and not think Sleep Token is going to sweep that category. I mean, Sleep Token, easily one of the hottest rock metal acts of the entire year, even crossing over into the pop genre. Another band that would have been absolutely awesome on stage at the Grammys and given them so much street cred in the rock community. I think they really missed out on that. And for the Grammys 2026 Best Rock Song, you have Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails as Alive as You Need to Be. Here we go again with Sleep Token, Caramel, Glum by Hayley Williams, Never Enough by Turnstile, And Youngblood right there once again with Zombie, which is a great song. And you're really seeing the emergence of Youngblood into the rock community at this point. Best rock album nominated at the Grammys. My boys, the Deftones with Private Music, Haim with I Quit, Linkin Park From Zero, Turnstile Never Enough, and Youngblood Idols. And best alternative music performance, The Cure, Alone, Wet Leg, Manged Out, Haley Williams, Parachute, and Turnstile, Seeing Stars. It's just such a shame that we're not going to see any of these bands perform. Best alternative music album, you have The Cure with Songs of a Lost World, Tyler, the Creator, which is interesting in that category, Don't Tap the Glass, Wet Leg, Moisturizer, and Haley Williams with Ego Death at a Bachelor Party. So I just can't say it enough. It would have been so cool to have Sleep Token, to have Youngblood, to have anyone represent hard rock and metal music at the Grammys. And once again, getting snubbed. Very disappointing. But I do look forward to seeing that nice Ace Frehley and Ozzy Osbourne tribute, guys. That better be in there. Hey, thanks so much for supporting my show, guys. You have no idea what it means to me. You guys have done such an amazing job. I mean, literally in the last month, we've gained over 1,000 new followers and subscribers. So however you consume this, whether it's audio-based or you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. It really does matter. And comment in the section below. I would love to hear what you guys would like to see here on the Loper Show. And we have more guests, and we're talking more music, and we're just, we're talking about whatever the hell we want, because that's what this show is. It's about me and you. And I really appreciate you guys being here. Hit the subscribe button, give it a like, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Loper Show. Thanks so much.